Okay, so before I continue, I want to show you something really cool. Check it out. It's a poster I got. When I bought the tickets on Fandango, they also offered me a free movie poster. Isn't it really cool? Alright, on to the video. Star Wars The Last Jedi is finally here. Okay, well, fine, not finally here. It's been in theaters for at least 2 weeks now, but to be fair, I've been really busy with school and stuff, so give me a break. At least I'm doing a review. And I am really glad I saw it. And in my non-spoiler review, I mentioned that I really enjoyed this movie. But there are some flaws, which I'll get into right now. Okay, so the biggest flaw, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion, is the casino planet. That whole planet, it just doesn't really feel very alien-like. Yes, there are some alien creatures, and they are kind of cool, but the planet it just feels too much like Earth. And I don't know, I just felt like whenever the movie cut back to this casino planet, it didn't necessarily derail the plot, but it derailed the movie, but it just paused the main story. And I don't know, and there's this whole subplot about, animal abuse and all that. We go on this journey with Finn and Rose, and Rose, while she's fine, and the actress is doing a very good job with what she's given, I just didn't really care about her character. The moment at the end, though, when Rose saves Finn as he's about to sacrifice himself, and then she kisses him, that is the only moment in this movie that I hated. I hated that moment. Like many people, I've shipped Finn and Rey, and although I wouldn't, be devastated if they never got together, but I definitely don't want a romantic or even a love triangle thing with Rose involved. Like I actually debated like yelling out frustration when I first saw that kiss in the theater. So as I said in my non-spoiler review, some of the jokes work. Like I love the part where Luke is confronting Kylo Ren and the entire First Order on that salt planet, and they shoot at him, and then there's not a scratch on him, and he just brushes off um, some dust off his shoulder like it's nothing. One joke that didn't work was when Rey is testing, just doing some moves with Luke's lightsaber, and then she accidentally cuts off a giant rock, and then it immediately cuts to that rock, smashing this cart that these two alien caretakers on the island that Luke is on. It smashes that cart, and I just didn't think that that was a very good joke. Following a really good scene, actually. I really liked that moment where Rey was using Luke's lightsaber, and then it just cuts to a joke. I don't know. The porks, I didn't really like the porks when I saw them in that one trailer, and I don't know. I mean, they're kind of cute, but they're also really annoying. They're not Ewok or Jar Jar annoying, but I don't know. I just didn't really feel like they were really necessary. That's really it on the bad, so let me get into the good about this movie. This movie is very different from the previous Star Wars movies, but in a good way. There are a lot of new things that they do with the Force, and in this and well, no, well, actually, no, just the Force in this movie that they do that I really like. For example, I loved every scene where Rey and Kylo Ren talk to each other via the Force, and Kylo is able to bring some of the rainwater back when he's talking to her when she's still on the island that Luke is at and it's raining. I love the moment where they touch hands and Rey later confronts Luke about possibly unintentionally creating Kylo Ren. Speaking of Luke, so probably all of you, or at least most of you, know that Mark Hamill really did not like the direction that Rian Johnson took the character of Luke through in this movie. He has said in many interviews that he disagreed with pretty much every decision that Rian Johnson, the director, made for the character of Luke. I get that because Luke is very different in this movie than in the previous films, but I still liked Luke in this movie. And I actually really liked his death scene. I thought it was really emotional. I thought it was actually very fitting. Luke using all of his force powers to confront Kylo Ren telepathically, and then right before he dies, he sees the two suns, which is a callback to in the first movie when Luke is still on Tatooine and he's looking at the twin suns, and that binary sunset track plays. I loved the scene where Luke, right before Luke confronts Kylo Ren, he says his farewell to Leia, and I just thought that that was a really good scene. That was a scene in which the John Williams track, The Spark, plays. And I said this in my non-spoiler review, but I'll say it again. John Williams' score in this movie is incredible. It is mostly just reusing themes from the previous films, but they're good themes. So, and let's talk about Carrie Fisher and Leia really quickly. This was really tough, but also kind of awkward. So there's a moment, like at the end of the first act in this movie, where the First Order was able to track the rebel resistance through light speed, and then they destroy part of the ship in which Leia was on, and we see Leia floating in corpse, possibly dead, and then we see her use the Force to bring herself back to the ship. Now, a lot of people have complaints with this because, it looked like she was flying, and also how could she know the Force if she's never, how could she be so good with the Force if she's never really trained with it, unlike Luke? Um, I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool, but the execution was a bit weird. It did look like she was flying, and I remember when I first saw that, I was just like, what the heck? What was that? The concept of Leia being good with the Force was really interesting, but unfortunately, I know that they're not going to go anywhere with that because, unfortunately, of Carrie Fisher's tragic passing and Disney and Lucasfilm saying that they weren't going to use, Leia wasn't going to be in the Episode 9 at all. Um, I want to go back really quickly to Finn and Rose and talk about the Codebreaker DJ, played by Benicio del Toro. Um, this character, I mean, I guess he was kind of important to the plot until he wasn't. So basically, Finn and Rose have to find a Codebreaker, but then they end up getting arrested on the casino planet, and so they find DJ, who is basically really on no one's side until he is on someone, and until he's on their side, and then he betrays them later. I don't know. I didn't really like DJ that much, which was a shame because Benicio del Toro is an amazing actor. And speaking of amazing actors, Laura Dern as Admiral Holdo. Admiral Holdo, I really didn't like at first, which was the film's intention. But I thought it was really interesting how it was later revealed that Holdo was actually going by Leia's orders, and so basically her plan is to just have the First Order keep shooting at the main ship, but then send everyone else away, let everyone else escape in transport ships, smaller transport ships. Um, that plan fails later, but I just thought it was interesting how we don't really know that that's Leia's plan until she wakes up and then she shoots Poe with that taser. And the whole mutiny thing with Poe I thought was really interesting. Actually, the whole story arc of Poe was really interesting. It was interesting how, he is kind of this trigger happy, really battle eager, for lack of a better term, guy. And then he learns what the real plan is, and later on, when Luke goes out there alone to face Kylo Ren and the entire First Order, and Finn is like, "We have to help him," and then Poe's like, "No, no, no, he's doing this for a reason. He's distracting them while we escape," and he said like, "We are the spark of the resistance," or whatever. I thought that that was really interesting. Although I thought it was kind of weird that Holdo didn't tell Poe her plan. To be fair though, she all that she knows about Poe is that he was demoted by Leia, whom she loves and trusts, and all she sees of him is this trigger happy, eager to go into battle too soon guy. So I guess that was why she didn't tell him his plan, but I don't know. I still thought that she could have told like somebody, or like I don't know. Like I said in the non-spoiler review, I thought that Daisy Ridley was much better in this movie than The Force Awakens. Ray, I had to think about this a lot. So it's revealed that Ray's parents are basically nobodies, and they aren't really important to the story at all, and that they sold her when she was a little girl for drinking money. A lot of people were upset about this because they were setting up who her parents were a lot in The Force Awakens. I actually disagree, kind of, with a lot of what the people are saying. So one of the things I didn't like about The Force Awakens, I neglected to mention. Actually, there'll be two things, but the first thing is that I didn't really like that they were setting up this whole mystery behind Rey's parents. And so when they revealed in The Last Jedi that Rey's parents are basically nobodies, I actually really liked that. I was like, oh, thank God, we don't have to go through this whole mystery thing that I really didn't want to go through in the first place. And the second thing is related to Snoke. So in this movie, during a scene where Rey is on the Snoke ship and Kylo sends Rey to talk to Snoke, a lot of people have said that that scene where Snoke is trying to get Rey to reveal where Skywalker is really similar to Return of the Jedi, and I agree. I didn't really mind it that much, but yeah, I can see why some people would have a problem with that. Um, so a lot of people had a problem with Kylo Ren, um, him betraying Snoke and killing him with Luke's lightsaber, and they thought that it was too easy and that Snoke should have noticed the lightsaber, and that there wasn't anything revealed about Snoke. Um, Snoke was one of the weaker, just like the whole Rey's parents thing. Snoke was one of the weaker parts of the Force Awakens, and I didn't care about him at all. And I'm kind of glad that he ends up just being this big bad guy because I really didn't want him to be developed that much more because I knew that I wouldn't like it. So I was glad that like Snoke was just this big bad guy and that Kylo Ren betrayed him. And yeah, it did seem a bit easy, but I don't really care because it then leads to that amazing fight sequence or battle rather. I don't know. Where Rey and Kylo Ren go against all those Red Guards. It is kind of interesting how none of the Red Guards send ask for backup from any of the stormtroopers. They're all just like, oh, I can do this by myself. Um, but that's just really that's just me nitpicking now. I really like this fight sequence. I thought it was incredible. I loved the moment where Kylo Ren is like, even though your parents are nothing, you are nothing. You are not nothing to me. So please join me. And then they end up using the Force on Luke's lightsaber, and they're struggling, and then they end up breaking it. And I love that moment later on where General Hux sees Snoke's dead body, and he's like, "Kylo Ren, you idiot!" And then Kylo Ren just chokes him, and then General Hux is just like, "Long live Supreme Leader Kylo Ren." Speaking of Hux, I really like Domhnall Gleeson. I think he's a fantastic actor, but in this movie, he is just overdoing it with the hammy performance. And his character isn't really that interesting, just like Snoke's character and Captain Phasma. When I saw the first trailer for The Last Jedi, and I saw Finn and Phasma, they were like fighting very that brief moment in the trailer, I was really excited and I was really hoping that Phasma would have um, a bigger role in Last Jedi because she didn't really have that big of a role in Force Awakens, and she actually has less screen time in this movie than in Force Awakens, which really disappointed me because I love Gwendoline Christie who portrays Phasma. Yeah, so that was really disappointing. Also, after Phasma is defeated, well, kind of by Finn, BB-8 controlling a one of those walkers. It it was cool, but it did look a bit weird to me. I don't know. Maybe it was like the CGI. Maybe it was just the fact that this little droid was controlling this giant robot walker thing, whatever. But I don't know. It's okay. Again, this is just me nitpicking. So overall, I really like this movie. There were quite a few flaws, but there were definitely more good and bad. I think that Disney, Lucasfilm, and Ryan Johnson the director and writer did a really good job with this movie. And yeah, and I hope that if you haven't seen it yet, that you'll see it and like it, and that if you have seen it and you don't like it, that you give it a second chance because I think that this is really good. Hey, so something I forgot to mention in my recording of this video was the scene between Luke and Yoda. I loved that scene. I love what Yoda says. I love how he just like snaps and then burns down the tree um, with the Jedi text in it. Actually, no, not with the Jedi text in it because Rey, we later see at the end of the movie on the Millennium Falcon, Rey has a Jedi text. But yeah, so that scene with Yoda was really good. I loved the fact that they used the puppet and not the CGI abomination from the prequels. So yeah, that's it. Those I think those are all my thoughts on the movie. Yeah, I just need to mention that one last thing because I forgot to do it in my recording, voice recording. But yeah, so I have done all the Star Wars films now. So now I can move on to my review of the latest Netflix film, Bright, and my top 10 of 2017, both in movies and shows. So that'll be coming up soon, and yeah, be on the lookout for those. And yeah, bye.